Hello there, and welcome back to another video. This one's going to be on playing through the press. This was actually going to be part of my recording of yesterday's formation video, but I realized playing through the press is a specific enough topic it can probably be its own video. So I'm going to be talking about basically 3 different ways again of how to play through the opposition's really high line. It's really hard to play through, specifically when they're really condensed and there's only like 5 yards between their defensive and their midfield and their attacking line. It's going to be what to do about that. So let's get into, once again, the tactics board here. Now, when we talk about the press, this is what we probably mean, where it's easier to attack a team that is less compact. They're a little bit less condensed, they're more stretched. So here, you'll see we've got just bigger spaces to operate in. It's a lot harder if they're in 3 very close lines, where now I've got no space here. If I make a pass into this area, there is no first touch at all, right? You'll just have somebody come and collect the ball on your first touch every single time, no question. So that's why this shape sucks, and I hate it, and I wish EA would remove it. You should not be able to have your depth be like this at all. This is ridiculous, because it breaks your attacking AI. What you do in real life is you just go, okay, well, I'll make this diagonal run. Let's do this. And you'll time it, and, you know, this player, you know, if you've got a quality center back, this is like a VVD or something, he makes his pass, you're just in behind. The defense has to drop from here all the way back. We're running back 35, 40 yards or something just to mark this one run. And you hope that this guy is Luis Diaz, who's probably faster than the opposition's fullback, and there you go. There's a reason most teams don't defend in this shape. The reason this works in FIFA is because they don't make this run. And when they're this close, they barely even make this run. And when they do, they're probably offside. So this just breaks your team. There are 3 ways to deal with this, as far as I can tell. And the 3 ways to deal with it are, A is just like getting behind. If you can get it to work, a lot of people will do this movement, or maybe you get Teo Hernandez or something. And this has to be a manually queued run. He's not going to make this movement up himself because somebody else is already occupying that space. And this player doesn't drop off this year, so it's not like that run will come after this one. So you have to like be controlling this player and then hold your left stick up here and press L1 to cause him to go on a run. Or have the ball here and do like an L1 X pass, which causes him to go on a run. So you're probably just like dribbling with him there, make that pass, cause him to go on a run, playing in behind like that. This is stretching the opposition by getting them in behind, and it forces them to drop back. So that's one way to play through the press. The second way is going to be, instead of this direction, it's this direction or this direction. This would be horizontal stretching. What you accomplish by doing this is, let's get a ball on the field. When it's over here, you're probably not maintaining this shape. You're probably having these players drop inside. It's pretty unlikely that this pass is going to be made, and even by the time it does, you can cause your more inside players to get out there in time. And also, in real life, you might have somebody force the opposition to stay wide like this, which stretches the opposition a little bit. But in EA, in these games, they're not creative like that, so this player will just kind of be stuck inside here. But when you have the ball at this side of the field, what that does is we're encouraging the opposition to come back over this way. So if this player steps up in this gap, this one comes over here, this one comes over here, and this one does. Normally, this one doesn't, which means you've got a bit of a gap here. Or if they do, this player ends up in this position. Well, now you can see this is much easier to attack. If we're back in our set shape, then nothing's really happening here, and you can't really get through, or, okay, it looks pretty obvious you might get through, like with this run here. But, again, this player normally doesn't make that run. What you're trying to do is hold the ball over here, and if the opponent's set and they're not moving, you just continue holding the ball. And you'll just bait out this player. Eventually is going to get just frustrated and run at you. And because this guy moves over here, this one now has to move over here. Now you've got space you can move into at least over here. So you've got to pull the opposition apart. You can't just like try to do normal play and assume that you're going to break the press. The press stays as it is really effectively this year. It did last year too, but not as effectively. This year is just unbelievably, unacceptably effective. But what you're trying to do is just bait this out. So maybe these players will all come over, but you'll create a gap here, or maybe this one comes over and you'll create a gap over here. A lot of times, actually, they won't do this as effectively, and if they, have these players come over here, these ones won't even make this move inside, or they'll do it kind of late or delayed, or this player will just walk over here, and now you've got your gap here. So what you're trying to do is encourage the opposition out and just create a gap, and you have to pick your eyes up. You can't just be looking here, like at this part of your TV screen, your monitor. You have to be looking, okay, I've got this, I've got a touch or two I can make before this guy comes. Pick my eyes up, look here, recognize this is the space, look back here, realize that he's on me now, and I'll take my dribble. Now it's a pass here, a pass here, a pass here, and now you've got space. And then you're hoping that because this player has to cover all of this distance to get back here, maybe he makes this run over and this player does not as well, and so you bait this player out, and now you've got a gap over here to get into. Maybe this is your move now. Hopefully that makes sense. This is called horizontal stretching, where you're just forcing the opposition out of their shape, and the AI stays in the shape really well, but they don't move out of it all the time, all of that effectively. So you should create a little gap like that. There's a reason if you watch pro games, especially last year, I haven't watched many this year, but last year, the switching, if you played, you'll probably remember, it was just this all of the time. All the time, they would just do this. People didn't know how to play through the press at all. Again, it was really effective last year, and so the one way to break it was kind of do this, and now you've got kind of more general open space here to attack in. Or they would do this all the time. So frustrating. The most frustrating thing for me for this, more than anything else, was just the ball's in the air like 5 seconds every time. So it just feels so slow where there's nothing to do. And it's not like you could like predict this happening and move him back there in time, because then you take your control off of him and now they've got more space over here. You have to kind of try to close the space down, and then there's just the pass out again. Really frustrating, but that's why it's effective, is because you're just baiting these players over, and then you get that one switch out, and now you've beaten the press this direction. So that's method 2 of beating the press. So let's discuss really quickly as I get us back in shape here. Take a look at, we had this getting in behind. That was method 1 of breaking the press. Method 2 was this way. So we've had kind of vertical stretching this way. We've had horizontal stretching either direction. What's missing? If you can, before I actually say it for you, maybe you're able to think of this yourself, so I'll give you a second. So again, we've had this way, we've had these two. Well, the other way is pretty obvious when I put these arrows like this. It's back this direction. So what that does is, instead of allowing the opposition to stay in this shape, where again, they're really compact, we're looking like, sometimes it feels like even less than 5 yards. Better line. Less than 5 yards between all of their lines. You can't play through this at all if you're just doing normal play. What you have to do is encourage them to generate separation between their lines by moving them down the field this way. This is obviously the most dangerous, because if they pick up the ball here, then they're immediately in on goal, rather than picking up the ball down here from a failed through ball, and now they have to work all the way down the field. So it is dangerous. You have to be really confident with dribbling with some of your worst dribblers, players like your center backs, players like your CDM maybe. But keep in mind, it's your center back against their attacker. So it's your bad dribbling versus their bad defending. So it's not like this is the hardest dribble to pull off all of the time. But what we're trying to do here is, if we drop us back a little bit, then you can see the opposition is pulling forward just a little bit. Now, instead of no ability whatsoever to get the ball here, because he will be capitalized on any first touch, they're just able to get to it. He's able to drop off in a little bit more space where you can take that first touch or two. And now what you're trying to do is, you get the ball to him, this player drops off, but maybe they don't do so well, maybe this one doesn't, and now you get the ball here, you bait this player out, now you make this little pass, now you're in space over here. You can see it's not quite the proper shape. We're not a flat line, they have moved back a little bit poorly, something like that. Now you've got space to play in. This is what I try to do all of the time. When I'm not playing well, what I try to remind myself is that all of my attacks, pretty much all of them, if there's not an immediate transition to take, because obviously if you get this pass on, then you're attacking, you don't have a lot of connections, like this player's probably not making that pass, but the opposition also doesn't have a lot of defenders. So instead of you attacking like with 6 of your players against 6 of their defenders, it's maybe 1 or 2 of their defenders versus 1 or 2 of your attackers. So obviously this is the easiest way to attack. So if you get that counterattack, feel free to go with it. But if I don't have that immediate transition, then what I'm looking to do is pretty much get the ball to him. Because no matter what, he steps up, now I've got space over here. He steps over this way, now I've got space over here again. Now I can play through the middle. Maybe he drops over here, and now I'm getting a movement over here. There's a little bit of gap there, and I'm trying to play through, and eventually what'll happen is you pull one of these players out, and then you get a little gap, and by that time, like this player takes a little bit longer to get back over here. Maybe they have to drop back here to cover the center because these players didn't cover it very well. Hopefully now you're getting a run like this where you can get behind. You're getting a run like this where you can get behind just because the opponents are being shifted around so much. So part of what I'm going to try to do with this channel is explain this build up. Obviously it's pretty easy to talk about it in the tactics board here. It's a lot harder to show it in game. So I will be showing examples of this as we move along with the channel and I create some other content, maybe some analysis of my own games. But again, what we're trying to do is just encourage the opposition this way, and eventually, if you hold on to the ball long enough, or if they think you got the ball with your 6, that's actually an opportunity I can take advantage of with one of these players. Now you're creating space somewhere else. Of course, the defensive line will not move past the halfway line. They just won't, because if they move all the way up, well, this player can just stay here because he's not offside here. So the defensive line, no matter what, will not follow up with the rest of the line. So it's not like this shape will turn into this shape at all. This line, no matter what, will stay back here. So we're trying to turn it from this shape into this shape. Hopefully that makes sense. I'll show both at once. So like, nope, come on. That shape into that shape. It's just a little difference. We're just looking for an extra couple yards here, that's all. But if we can bait these players out, and this is playing through the press, you're just kind of lingering on the ball, maybe with some players over here, trying to bait them over this way and then go through the other way, or trying to bait them this way and then you can go through back through the middle. Hopefully that makes sense of playing through the press. Obviously, this would be a lot of practice for a lot of people of playing further deep in your own formation. If you've ever watched a real-life game and you see a team try to build up from a goal kick like this, this is accomplishing the same thing with a real-life team. The opposition will set up their press, but it's going to be... they're not going to move that far up most of the time, so it's going to be a little bit more like this. And this is real life. They might move forward depending on the situation. If they're pressing well enough and you can't get that long ball through here, it's just not on. Especially if you can get the ball onto like a left-footed center back's weak foot, then they're not going to play that ball either. So real life is a little bit different, but in FIFA, they're not going to move past this line. So sometimes, yeah, again, in real life, this is like a goal kick example. You can take your own goal kicks like this, where you just try to play through a little bit deeper here. Again, much riskier, but what you're trying to do is just coerce the opposition down the field and kind of manipulating them, pulling them apart, and creating spaces somewhere else. Hopefully that makes sense of playing through the press. Now, I just want to play a couple clips from my latest weekend league of me playing through the press, because I think that really will help here. So I've got the ball with Cancelo. The opponent for this game is in a 4-2-3-1. So there will be 2 CDMs somewhere off screen there we can't see. Normally a 3 like this, although in this situation it's a 3 like this, and the one up top. So because of this shape, normally what you're looking to do is get into here, because that's where the space would be, nobody's able to cover, and that might pull her out over there, which means you'd be able to pass back there and go through the middle. But I'm being too effectively pressured by Salah. I don't think I can do a skill move or anything to turn back that way. It's too risky, especially if I lose the ball here, then it's just an immediate counterattack. So what am I stuck with? I can't play this to Schlotterbeck. I think this is too dangerous. If you look at the minimap, it's hard to see, but Rafinha is too far forward. Actually, the opponent's center back is there in the way. I might have Rafa Guerrero here off screen. It looks like he's kind of open, but this is too risky of a pass. I think Hernandez is going to block it. And because Schlotterbeck's left-footed, his natural reception of the ball is going to take him that way on the left foot, which means that would be my only option, which is pretty risky. It's harder for him to go back this way and then kind of on his right foot play that pass, which means I'm limited to passing it to Schlotterbeck and then over to Kobel, which I think would be pretty effectively pressured by Hernandez. The only other thing I could do, and I don't think of this in-game, is lob the ball to Ta and then just head it back to Kobel. And why bother doing that when I can just play it back to Kobel himself? Ball goes back. Now the whole time here I'm thinking, all I'm ever going to do in this situation is pass it to Ta and do a 1-2 back. My entire, I've already decided that pretty much from passing the ball there to Cancelo, provided that Hernandez does make this run. If Hernandez doesn't bite on it, then I can do this and just move forward with Ta, and maybe Ta will find something. I'll pass it out to Kimmich or something like that. But seeing how heavily Hernandez goes, oh, the goalkeeper's got the ball, I can probably press this. How heavily Hernandez moves over, all I'm thinking is that little move there. So the reason I'm doing this is because Hernandez here is pretty effective at pressing me. He's at full sprint. He's in a decent body shape where he's not committed too much to one side. He can pretty easily run back this way. It's not like he's doing a big direction change to curve back this way. If I take this touch with Ta and go that way, so he'd be able to cut that off. He would also be pretty easily able to turn back around and get to Schlotterbeck by the time any kind of pass like that would be made. So this, I'm thinking, is a pretty dangerous position for Hernandez to be in. This is not. Because he's come all the way across. He is unable to turn back to Schlotterbeck. And he's covering this way, but I'm not going that way. I'm not worried about having this option open at all for me. So you'll see, as Hernandez was blocking my pass to Schlotterbeck, I was worried about that. Now a complete non-factor in what Schlotterbeck's doing on the ball here. Now if he runs back and covers me with Hernandez, it's the same thing for me again. I'm either passing to Ta or I'm passing to Kobel. I also do kind of have Cancelo, so I've got an out option. This is really hard for him to press. I'd have too many out options here for him to effectively do anything. My opponent's there. He decides to switch to Putellas. Now I've got a pretty obvious direct pass, driven pass to Stanway here. But Schlotterbeck's passing stats aren't the best. She might be pressured there if she receives it because I think the one defender is just too close. Where if she receives this on the first touch, that might be capitalized on. Putellas here is also able to press that, provided that the opponent corrals me into that direction. If the opponent goes this way, then I might be able to complete that pass and turn with her around this way to the position that the opponent didn't guard. But I think that's too dangerous. The AI is pretty neutrally here. It's not like the AI is moving over here naturally. And I'm not thinking the opponent's going to open up that space for me themselves. So I don't think this pass is on, because if this player pressures me, that forces me this way, which is too close to Putellas, who might be able to turn and press me there. If I do that pass, I might have it back to Ta. It depends entirely on if Hernandez is there or not, which would leave me only with a pass out to Kimmich or some kind of clearance, right? So I think this is too dangerous because of Putellas' positioning. Not so much hers. I don't think, even if I'm forced to dribble just back this way, she's not able to catch up with me. It's mostly because I'm worried she could corral me into Putellas here. So what I'm looking to do here, just move her out of position. Same thing as Hernandez, right? We were talking about that with the striker there. Same thing. Literally the same thing. So she, I think, is connected here, able to turn back this way if she wants to. No longer connected. This, she's moving too fast this way. Her momentum would be too long to get back this way. Non-factor in this pass here. So all I have done, same thing with Hernandez that we're watching, is move Putellas from here to here. That's all I'm trying to do the entire time. That's all I'm accomplishing. I've already got that in mind with Schlotterbeck, and you'll see me linger, you'll see me delay instead of making that pass immediately. Just stop, one touch to the side. This is an important touch because it looks like one the opponent might be able to capitalize on. It encourages them to come a little bit more this way because they might just have the outlet pass there. That shifts the body position from directly this way to a little bit further down this way. And you'll see, just opens up that gap. And as I get to Stanway, Proteas is completely unable to move into this position. Now the same thing with Stanway. First touch down. You'll watch as that drags the defender out from being in a decent shape. Immediately, this is pretty neutral. Like, I'm not immediately able to turn or anything. The defender would be able to guard both of those pretty easily. Now out of shape. And that's all it took. All it took was her being here to this way. So I take that first touch down. It's a little move out. Down. Back around. The opponent actually does almost a decent job and recognizes the mistake. A lot of opponents wouldn't do this. So instead of heavily committing here and going, that first touch is something I can capitalize on, they start trying to move back. Still not able to do it in time. So I've shifted them around enough. This is pinged pass plus, so she's able to complete that there. Able to get in behind. Now Rafinha has cut in all the way from the side, somehow actually. This is kind of surprising. He's just deciding to take up this position, which is rare for the right wing this year, but hey, I wish they did this more. Don't really have anything here. Like, he's in a good pocket of space. But the only thing I really have is here or this way. I don't think I've got a great ability to turn into a dribble or anything. I'll go down to Rafa here. Rafael Guerreiro. Same thing. You'll watch me pull Frankie out of position. Now I've got space back up this way. So I've done the same thing to this opponent over and over. Pull Hernandez out, pull Putellas out, pull Guijarro out, pull Frankie de Jong out. Guijarro's running back into the standard, like she's going to get back into the shape over here, which means they'll be in their standard 2. It was kind of, you know, the front 3. Putellas is walking back, so they'll probably form this, which means they'll have the shape, this one, which is what you want from the 4-2-3-1. The opponent breaks that. And all that happens, or the reason they break that, is because I'm baiting them out to come pick up the ball from Guerreiro, and they're not able to. So again, I'm thinking the whole time here, what I want is the interaction with Frankie de Jong, force them out of position, break their defensive shape. It looks like I might have the ability to sprint in here, but I don't think that's really going to accomplish anything. That's, if anything, going to force Frankie out there, which is an easier shape to keep in line with. It's not pulling him that far, like it's pulling him this way, but not so much this way, which is not breaking him from the line as much as you might think. So because he runs off this way, now instead of the flat shape they have, Guijarro's gone all the way back. It's not this shape, it is that shape, which makes it extremely easy to just turn. I'm very confident with Guerrero's dribbling here. He's got a decent body type, he's got a dribbling chem style, he's one of the highest dribbling stats players in the game. Able to turn back around. You can see just how effective. Now I've played through the press. I've gone through the goalkeeper, up a little bit, you know, through the midfield, involving one of the attackers. Now I've gotten the ball to one of the attackers again. Same thing, once again, with the opponent. Drag them from there to there. Where do you think that opens up the space? Here, again, literally the same move. I'm just doing the same thing over and over with the opponent, dragging them out. What do you think I'm going to do? Cut back. Okay, I've got Guerreiro there. The opponent could have been in a decent shape. They're too aggressive. So we had... There's your defensive shape. Now they're missing a gap a little bit over here. They're shifted a bit to the side of the field. That's not too big of a deal for them. But flat line here. No longer a flat line, as you can see. That's just not a defensive shape you want. Now this is just a little unfortunate from me. If Stanway takes the touch this way instead of this way, then I'm just fine. I'm able to progress it on there. As it is, she takes the touch into pressure. which I probably could have done a little better of a job aiming the ball to the other side of her, or maybe just taking the pass all the way over there and skipping her. So that's the one mistake I've made on this move. But provided I don't make this one mistake, I think you can see there would be a little pocketing of space. Excuse me. Little pocket of space up there with Rafinha and Francescoli that I can attack in. Now, that was a really long one, so we'll be quicker with these next couple examples, but get the ball back with Cancelo here. Opponent's in a great shape, pretty much pressing everything, don't have any options. A little move forward with Schlotterbeck here. Kind of step forward out of my own defensive line. Creates a little depth back to Ta. Just shifting around their opponents a little bit here. Not as effectively as I would have thought, so we're just kind of forced out wide again. But you can kind of see as the ball gets out to Kimmich here, opponents have to come all the way over to meet him. So instead of being towards more of the center, Kewell he moves all the way out wide. Creates space for me inside. Ta goes on a run, I don't want him to. But now, because we've gone out wide, and keeping the ball a little bit deeper, now I'm able to move the ball all the way to my forward line. Little ball across, as we're kind of switching the play from right to left. Ball down. But I've been slow with a lot of this move, so the opponent's been able to get back into a good shape, so I'm forced back. Touch up with Ta, very important there. Same thing as with the last clip. My first touch is kind of a disguised one to take it away. This is too good of a shape. They're in like almost their ideal defensive shape here. So what we're looking to do is turn this from that either into something like this, where you've got the little gap to exploit, or something like this, where they're technically in a flat line still, but they're just missing too big of a connection between the players here to really consider it one line. So you'll see, touch up with Ta. It looks like they're in a good shape there. And then this player just jogs, moves off too far. There's a gap for Guerrero to be in. Now I've got the ability to move forward. Not able to move forward perfectly well. Still got the one defender on him, so forced back. And you'll watch here with Kimmich. I linger. Again, you'll remember that from Schlotterbeck with the last clip. I don't think I've got any advantage with Kimmich. I don't really want to run into this space because I don't have... If he gets here, then I don't have any options back. Like, Ta is covered. The midfield is too easily covered by either of these players. I think this is too good of a shape for the opponent as it is, and I don't really have this pass on. So instead of letting the opponent be here and try to challenge them here and let them just kind of drop off this way, I make them come all the way out to me. So I just linger there. Now they're not in shape anymore. That's what creates the little bit of depth for Stanway as she's moving back both into space and getting back into her normal position, running back across the field. Now there's a little pocket for her to be in. Make the pass forward. Trying to bait VVD out, but the opponent switches players, so not really able to go at the back line here. And you watch me just trying to do the same thing, turn this from this into more of that. So this player comes out, instead of containing me there, which would take away any ability to get inside, they come at me at this angle, which should generate a little space to do a skill move into. Now, Gravenberch makes an incredible turn here. I'm very surprised that sprint Gravenberch makes is faster than what Francescoli does. So, bit of a mistake from me, not considering that could have been an option from them. But you can see, again, I didn't have the space to dribble into. Now I do, or at least I'm really trying to, and it's almost successful. I could have made a pass out of this and done something with Neymar. But the point being, even though it was technically unsuccessful here, in a lot of situations this would have been successful, can't dribble this. Now you can't dribble it, because he's moved out of position. I've dragged him across over to meet me. Oops. Now this clip starts off a bit weird. Got the power shot, bounces around. You can't take a chest touch with Ta here or anything, so you have to try and make a pass. You can't really clear it, because I think if I hold square down, he's going to try to kick it instead of do anything else. So he ends up trying to make a chest pass. I can't do anything but try to spam pass as a clearance thing here. Any other way, I'm just kind of, screwed. So I get lucky, bounces to me, and then Ta makes actually a really good turnaround here. So, a little lucky, but it's off the bounce, what are you supposed to do? But as it is from here, opponent should be able to be in a pretty decent shape. They've got a good amount of players around this area, and I shouldn't really be able to do anything considering where they are. So what I'm doing here, it doesn't look like I'm able to play through this. Touch inside first with Cancelo. Drags out, I think that's Ousmane Dembele there. Yep. So Dembele, can I make this pass to Rafa here? No, this is absolutely going to be cut off unless he's able to play that down there, which I don't trust. Now it's A, dragged him out, and also B, given Guerrero time to make a run down. So 2 things accomplished there, but now I have a pass out of it because of that first touch up. Now I could take a touch the other direction, and with some of my analysis I'll try to maybe consider other options I didn't see in-game. I could have maybe gone this way to pass back to Schlotterbeck and then go back this way, but I think it's a little too congested in the midfield there to go across, so I'm seeing, looks like the gap's going to open up on the side. Drag them out of position just a little bit. Same thing here with Rafa. Now watch as Alex Garcia in the middle. It's just a frame before that. Not able to pass to, looks like Gravenberch should be able to cover anything like that. Now he's open. So I'm just taking these touches down, letting the opponent come all the way across to meet me. Now there's a gap up through the middle. Get the ball forward in a little pocket here, trying to drag out their players again. Here watch as he brings Gravenberch all the way across the field. Opens up a little pass down for me. Little skill move with Cancelo. This was, if you watch my one skill moves video, this is a category 3. I'm not trying to beat the opponent. I'm not trying to do anything else. It's just to go and have them shift their position. Maybe you can come tackle me. Maybe it looks like I can get down the wing. And so they go from here, which with my body shape with Cancelo and everything, and this player being that close, I can't make this pass through, to here where I do have the ability to make that pass. Over to Francescoli, over to Rafinha, great first touch, there's a shot. So, another example of playing through the press there. Now, this one here, got the ball with Kobel. Obviously, this deep is going to accomplish some of what we were talking about in the pressing section earlier, where we can take a look at the bottom of the screen. The defensive line is this deep on the field, and everyone else is going to be a little bit more disconnected, rather. So I should have some ability to play through them here. There should be enough gaps in the midfield. As you can see, Alex Garcia able to pick up the ball in a lot of space. Now what I'm trying to do, same thing as the other clips, force this opponent to come over this way. They don't do it significantly enough. They switch over to the other player here. This player maintains enough of the shape where I'm not able to do anything immediately. That shape, like you can see, I'm trying the exact same move here as I've done in the other ones. Touch up this way first, because my idea is to get down this way. I think that's where the space is going to be. So, feint touch this way, come back on down this way. It doesn't work in this situation. It's just covered a little bit too much. What do? Literally try the same thing again. Feint touch up here, back down. Didn't have the passing option. Feint touch back up again. Now I've got the passing option. Now she's not in as much space as I was hoping to create with this. If this was a more aggressive opponent, then maybe they would have dragged this player all the way across, which means instead of being here, she'd be here, which gives me not this much space, but this much space to operate in. But this opponent's really not being aggressive with the midfielder there, which is smart from them. So instead of having a little gap to operate in, I do have a little pass out. This is ping pass plus again, so that's just an ability for me to unlock defenses a little bit more with the passing play style there. Even though it's really close to the opponent, Bonmati's not going to be able to intercept that unless you're an intercept plus player. So just with this pass, encourages Bonmati a little bit down, able to take a touch across, get it forward. Now, Francescoli, he's in a bit of a pocket of space, but he's every other player around him is a defender, so just back again. Now I've got a little gap out here with Neymar, but I don't think Neymar is very well connected. I could try to do a sprint immediately or feint down this way and do a skill move. But the problem with this is he'll get down this way and maybe Francescoli will start a run, But I'm going to get down the field with Neymar and get him down here and not have any other options. So I don't think I'm going to be able to cut inside. Maybe I'll have him there, but then it's going to be Francescoli against the whole defensive line. I don't think Rafinha's really going to be effective, and my midfielders aren't quite set up for it. He's covered by the one defender here. I don't think he's going to get forward. So instead of disconnecting Neymar from everybody else, I'll just keep him connected. Pass back on down. Same kind of moves, little feints. Little feint touch here forward with Cancelo as if I'm going forward. Opens up space for Rafa. Who I know Tiki Taka Plus is able to pass out of that. Now, shifting, I've been talking a lot about examples with the vertical stretching, which is down the field this way. This is more horizontal stretching, actually, as they're shifting all the way across that way. You can see instead of the opponent being in this shape, they're in this shape. But too much of a gap here. So, very easy there. Move it forward. A little bit of fancy dribbling with Francescoli. Same kind of thing. Just trying to bait out a little bit. Hoping that I'll have Stanway on the run there, but it's too well covered by Mendy, who has decided to stop covering Rafinha and cover the more dangerous run through the middle. That's what the AI decides here. But by covering that, they've stopped covering this. So either way, I would have had a passing option. The AI makes the right choice, obviously, and covers the more dangerous one. But that gives me an ability to go to the outside. That's the Kimmich, that's Rafinha, but point being. Take a look here. Same kind of feint touches with Rafa. Going down for first. Opponent just drags that midfielder across a little bit. That was that. That was just offside. But here I'm actually taking advantage of the opponent switching to Rudiger, who has the defensive line in a good shape. You can see flat back four. But by Neymar taking up this little pocket of space here, it pulls Rudiger from this flat back line to up here, which would be more like this shape, which is exactly what I'm looking for. You can see disconnected. This one CDM is even trying to get back into that position, but the AI is not able to do it fast enough. And there's an offside trap here that I don't read. That saves the opponent. Any other situation, I get him behind here. But you'll see how bringing that one center back out makes a little bit of space to run into without the offside trap. I mean, the go scorer. So hopefully that all made sense. It is a little bit nerve-wracking, of course, to build up through the defense, but I think you can see through these clips just how advantageous it is. It's not as effective to do this as just bombing the ball downfield as quick as you can if you have that opportunity, of course, because you're letting the opponent get back set. Whereas if you just do an immediate counterattack, if you have that opportunity, you're just kind of going down the field with as few defenders against you as possible, even though you've got fewer attackers, and much able to, there's much more space for you to get into. So doing this is not the highest quality immediate chance creation, but it gives you significantly more control over the game, and then the chances that you do create, I think, are much more rewarding, much more fun. But also, in some situations, these are the only chances you're able to generate if you can't immediately just transition down the field as fast as possible. So hopefully this all made sense. Once again, any questions you've got, any feedback, please let me know in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you in the next one. I should be putting out some more analysis type videos like this of in-game examples of how to play through situations. So look forward to more of that content coming up soon. Take it easy, everybody, and have a good night. Peace.